Just a couple of years ago, I felt like my bank account was constantly springing leaks. I'd look at my statements and it was just a sea of red. Takeout impulse buys, another subscription I forgot about. It was like 1,000 tiny cuts bleeding my budget dry. I was working hard, but I just couldn't get ahead and the feeling was completely defeating. I knew something had to change. I didn't want some complicated system or another budgeting app that made my spending feel like a video game. I wanted something real, something tangible. So I decided to go back to basics. I adopted 5 simple, almost old-fashioned habits that completely changed my relationship with money. And in the process, they started saving me thousands. In this video, I'm going to show you how I did it, how I started cooking from scratch, mastering the grocery store, and even growing a little bit of my own food. I'll show you exactly how these 5 habits are helping me build real financial stability in 2026 and how you can do it too. Prioritize habit 1T, the scratch cooking revolution. The first, and honestly the most impactful habit, was to start cooking from scratch. Now, I know what you're thinking, who has the time for that? I thought the same thing. I was stuck in the convenience cycle, grabbing takeout, ordering delivery, buying pre-made sauces because it just felt easier. But that convenience comes at a steep price. One analysis found it can be 5 times more expensive to order delivery from a restaurant than it is to cook at home. 5 times! When I really looked at my spending, I realized a huge chunk of my income was going directly to restaurants and convenience foods. My journey started small. I didn't try to become a gourmet chef overnight. I started by baking my own bread. A decent loaf at the store can cost you $4, $5, even $6. The ingredients to make my own flour, yeast, salt, water cost less than $1. The first time I pulled that warm, crusty loaf out of the oven, the smell filled my entire apartment. It was more than just bread, it was a revelation. I had created something amazing for a fraction of the cost. From there it just snowballed. I started making my own pasta sauces. I learned to cook big batches of chili soup and curries on a Sunday afternoon. This cook once, eat twice idea became my secret weapon. I'd portion out the meals right away, some for dinner that week, some for lunches, and a few would go straight into the freezer. Those frozen leftovers became my new convenience food, except they were free. Instead of ordering a $20 pad thai, I could pull a homemade curry from the freezer. It didn't just save me money, it saved me time and stress. Research from the University of Washington found that people who cook at home more often have healthier diets, lowering calories, sugar, and fat without a significant increase in food costs. It's not about every meal being a masterpiece. It's about having basic ingredients and a few go-to recipes. This one shift didn't just save me money, it reconnected me with my food and gave me a sense of control I hadn't felt in years. Aviba's habit turns in mastering intentional grocery shopping. The second habit goes hand in hand with the first. I had to completely change how I shop for groceries. For years, my strategy was just wander into a giant supermarket without a plan. I'd drift through the aisles, grabbing whatever looked good. Stores are designed for this. Brands pay big money for eye-level placement, and those end-of-aisle displays are filled with high-profit items, not the best deals. I was a marketer's dream, and my grocery bills showed it. The change was twofold. Mindset and location. First, the mindset. I adopted a brutally effective system: plan meals, make a list and stick to it. Before I even think about going to the store, I do a quick inventory of my pantry and fridge. I plan the week's meals around what I already have, which cuts down on food waste. Then I make a detailed list, organized by the store's layout to keep me on a mission and prevent me from aimlessly wandering into the snack aisle. The second part was changing my location. I started doing most of my shopping at Aldi. I was skeptical. The smaller selection, bringing my own bags, the quarter for the cart, it was different. But the savings were impossible to ignore. A 2025 report confirmed that Aldi can save shoppers up to 36% on their shopping trip. For a family spending $300 a week, that's thousands in savings a year. My first few trips were a revelation. I could fill a cart with produce, meat, and pantry staples for a fraction of what I was spending before. The smaller store and curated selection also help curb impulse buys. With fewer choices, there's less decision fatigue and less temptation. Shopping became a quick, efficient task instead of a leisurely expensive experience. This combo of a strict list and a budget-friendly store turned my biggest financial anxiety into my biggest area of savings. Likewise, habit 3, growing a little green in my own space. The third habit I embraced felt like the ultimate old-fashioned practice. I started growing some of my own food. Now, let me be clear, I did not buy a farm. I live in an apartment with a tiny balcony. For years I told myself I didn't have the space, the time, or a green thumb. But then I looked at my grocery receipts and saw I was spending $4 on a tiny plastic clamshell of basil that would just wilt in my fridge. It felt absurd. So I started incredibly small. I bought a single basil plant and put it in a pot. The first time I needed basil for a sauce, I just walked outside and snipped off a few leaves. It was a game changer. That one plant probably saved me $30 over the summer. Inspired, I added mint and parsley. The next year, I got ambitious and planted a tomato plant in a big container. Even with just a sunny windowsill, you can grow herbs. The key is to start with things that are easy to grow and that you actually eat, like lettuce, spinach, and radishes. You can find free compost from your local municipality or even grow vegetables in 5-gallon buckets. It's about being resourceful. This habit isn't about becoming self-sufficient, it's about supplementing your groceries, cutting down on waste, and reconnecting with where food comes from. There's an incredible sense of accomplishment that comes from eating something you grew yourself. It saves me a few $100s a year on produce, but the sense of pride is priceless. These are the habits that have worked for me, but I know there are so many other amazing frugal strategies out there. What's the number one frugal habit that has saved you the most money? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love learning from this community. Fakwai habit for the worst, not want not mentality. This next habit is less of an action and more of a complete mindset shift. I adopted the old-fashioned mentality of ooze it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. We live in a throwaway society where it's often easier to just buy a new one. I was guilty of this in so many ways. I tossed glass jars, old tea, shirts, and vegetable scraps without a second thought. I was literally throwing money in the trash. Adopting a waste not mentality forced me to see the hidden value in things I used to see as garbage. That glass pasta sauce jar, it's now a perfect container for storing dry beans. Those veggie scraps, onion ends, carrot peels, celery bottoms. I keep a bag in the freezer, and when it's full, I simmer them to make a delicious free vegetable broth. An old stained t-shirt is now a pile of cleaning rags, which means I don't buy paper towels anymore. These small acts of resourcefulness really add up. This mindset goes beyond the kitchen. Before buying something new, I ask myself, can I borrow it? Can I find it secondhand? Can I fix the one I have? Instead of heading to a big box store for furniture, I check Facebook Marketplace or a thrift store first. You can often find high quality, solid wood furniture for less than new particle board junk. Learning basic mending, like how to sew on a button, has saved me from needlessly replacing clothes. This is about shifting from being a passive consumer to an active, resourceful owner. It's not about being cheap, it's about respecting the resources and money that went into your possessions in the first place. I have habit. Embracing intentional scarcity. The final habit was the one that fixed the psychological side of my overspending. Embracing no spend challenges. My budget wasn't just being broken by big purchases. It was the constant, quiet drip of small, non-essential spending. A coffee here, a book there, a gadget on Amazon because it was on sale. Individually, they seemed harmless. But together, they were a huge drain. A no-spend challenge is a set period, a week or even a month, where you commit to spending zero on non-essentials. You still pay bills and buy groceries, but everything else is off limits. No dining out, no clothes, no entertainment. My first attempt was a no-spend week, and it was eye-opening. It was tough at first. I realized how often I used spending to cope with boredom or stress. But by the end of the week, something shifted. I was forced to get creative. Instead of buying a book, I went to the library. Instead of meeting a friend for an expensive dinner, we went for a walk in the park. The point of a no-spend challenge isn't just the money you save during that time, although it can be hundreds of dollars. It's about resetting your spending habits. It breaks the impulse buy cycle and forces you to be more intentional. It shines a big, bright light on your spending triggers and helps you find free or low-cost alternatives. Now, I regularly have 10-15 no-spend days a month or do a full no-spend week each quarter. This has been the single best tool for strengthening my financial discipline and helping me see the difference between my needs and my wants. It's taught me to find joy in what I already have, not in the next purchase. So, there you have it, the 5 habits that took me from feeling defeated by my finances to feeling empowered and in control. Cooking from scratch, shopping intentionally, growing a small garden, adopting a West Not mindset, and resetting my habits with no-spend challenges. None of these changes happened overnight. It was a gradual process, building one small habit on top of another. But together, they have saved me thousands and given me a sense of security I never thought was possible. Frugal living isn't about deprivation, it's about being intentional. It's about choosing where your money goes and making sure your spending aligns with what you truly value. It's about building a life that is rich in experience, not just in things. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It's free, and it really helps get this message out to others. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video on how I create my monthly budget. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.